Coming to you live from the Stream.tv studios in Hollywood, California, Pensado's Place is brought to you by Vintage King, the Blackbird Academy, Avid, Recording Connection, Studio 202, Slate Media Technologies and Slate Digital, and Audio Technica.
Let's take the label off of major A&R for you. We've got part 2 of our brand new ITL. I guess it wouldn't be brand new if it's part 2. Semi-new ITL. We've got some info you can use. We're going to allow you to win some mics. We are chock-a-block full. You're at the place. It's Pensado's Place.
Chock-a-block?
Chock-a-block, bro. Better than the teabag jokes from before.
I don't remember those. Hey, thanks for coming and hanging out with us today. As you can tell, Herb and I are in a festive mood. Not sure why. Maybe I'm sure, don't know. I'm sure, right?
Maybe we're sure we're not telling.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
That's a possibility, right?
Well, just so many things are happening in a good way and so fast. It's like...
Pretty amazing, right?
Pretty amazing.
Pretty
yeah.
amazing. Pretty amazing.
That's your cue to take over.
Shall we go for
Let's
it?
do it.
Hard to believe we're in November, hitting the home stretch, leading into the holidays. Time really does fly. Hey, everybody, it's our favorite time of the week where we get to hang with you and travel through audio land. Just about at that 100K subscriber mark. It's in sight. Keep on pushing, gang. It means a ton. You do so much for us, and we try to do the same back for you. You are absolutely rocking. The partners that help us, all world-class companies, are big dogs who carry the day. Vintage King, the Blackbird Academy and Blackbird Studios, Audio Technica, Avid, Studio 202 and the Recording Connection. Phenomenal product, phenomenal people.
Yeah.
Our smaller dogs ain't too shabby either. Isotope, Ultimate Ears, G-Tech, Gobbler, UA, and AEA. They continue to bring the Pensado noise, and we appreciate it so much, so greatly. Speaking of AEA, as we promised, they want to give a chance for you lucky winners to get one of their very hot mics. For the next 4 weeks, we'll give either an N8 or N22 mic to someone. To enter is simple. You know how we do it. Go to Pensado's Place /AEA, enter your email, and you are good. Now, we've talked about this before. Wes and his camp make extraordinary, high-end quality, but cost-effective, multitasking, multi-use mics that will really enhance and capture your skills in ways that will make your product better. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think they ought to enter twice and try and win both of them.
There you go. So cheat, basically, is what Dave was saying. Again, head to Pensado's Place /AEA, enter, and we'll start naming those winners next week. Thanks to Wes and the team.
Yeah, Wes.
The Boston Brahmin Badasses, formerly known as Isotope, are also going to grace our audience with giveaways of their Ozone 6. You know how consistently good all of Isotope stuff is. Well, they are high on Ozone 6, and you're going to be able to get your hands on them.
I'm high on Ozone 6.
Details next week. And speaking of that, next week what we'll do is we'll give them some drill down, and we'll show them some stuff. Finally, this boy right here. I got to tell you, the commentary that we're getting on the book is just inspiring to Dave and I. We're so thankful to you and really, really pleased that you're receiving this so well. A couple quick ones we'll share. One reader said, I had to put it down after the foreword because I got so emotional. Then I picked it up and couldn't put it down until I finished it, which was really cool. Another email I got said, I have a really big problem with this book. And I was like, oh God, what is it? And he said, it's 900 pages too short.
I saw that.
More, please.
He didn't have to write it.
Right. Another one I got, the reader said he had so many things answered that he was inspired beyond belief. Plus, he really enjoyed the pictures. And the last one of many that we have gotten was the guy said, I opened the book about 9 o'clock at night to read just a couple of chapters, and I was going to go to bed. When I looked up, the sun was coming up, and I'd read the whole book. It's a book about redemption, comeback, funny, career advice, tips and tools, all wrapped up in the Pensado way, and said, great job. So I'm saying all this to say thank you from Dave and I. We are humbled and we're inspired. Thanks to Hal Leonard for being so supportive.
I can give him a tip to on how to read the book in half the time.
Okay.
You'll notice, like, it says Herb here, read that. Where it says
No.
Dave, skip those.
No, don't.
All the Daves skip.
No, don't do that. Don't do that.
There's another one. They're everywhere. Just skip those, and it'll go through twice as fast.
And then if you feel the other side, skip all the Herbs and go to Dave.
No.
You know.
Herb stuff is really good.
So, look, if you get a chance to get it, I think you'll be pleased. We're going to come to you shortly with some opportunities, a way to get it, and want to make sure we get you some special deals and so on and so forth. So stay tuned. Last but not least, before ITL, we can't do it yet, but reasonably soon we're going to tell them about a place called Legends, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I've already started.
Have you really? And our man Phil Driscoll.
Oh, gosh. Phil.
Man. Can't tell you yet. Got some I's to dot and T's to cross. But trust me, going to be really hot.
I touched him and played in 3 modes I've never played in before. Listen, I walked near him, and now I can improvise an E flat, left-handed.
I went and bought flugelhorn tapes.
Chuck Mangione.
Yeah,
bought the whole catalog.
Man, we can't wait to have that conversation with you. Master Blaster, what's our ITL? You want to introduce that?
Oh, yeah. It's part 2 of the multi-band compressor that we started last week. And I want you to go back, if you haven't seen last week's Into the Lair, grab that. And if the reverse of that can't be true, check it out. It's really good. I painted myself in a corner with that one.
And painted yourself out.
Yeah. Okay.
So speaking of EQ, I know a lot of guys that use these plugins will actually treat it as an EQ, just as much as it is a multi-band compressor. So here's an example I did where I actually tried to EQ the vocal using the C6. So I got a shelf up here, boosting some nice air, but then I'm riding it with the compressor. This area, I'm compressing it, but I also did a gain boost to kind of bring out some low mids and make it a little fuller. And then it looks like there's a little tiny kind of 2K harsh area pulling out there. So you can actually, I mean, it is an EQ and it is a compressor all in one. So you can use this as an EQ and do everything you could with like a Renaissance 6 or McDSP filter bank. You can EQ and compress at the same time. So the last thing I'm going to show you guys is expansion with the C6. And I really love this. This could save you in a lot of situations. When this artist sings high and powerful, all the bottom drops out. It just becomes a lot of mid-range and high end. And that happens with most singers. The higher they go, of course, the higher frequency, the less low end there is. So I don't want it to be irritating or grating. I don't want it to sound small and tiny. I want it to sound big, so I'm going to use expansion on the lower frequencies. So basically, we're boosting this area dynamically. So the way to do that is right here with your range. Instead of going negative, you go positive and pull down the threshold. You can see over here we're doing similar as before. We're pulling down some of the harsh area. So at the same time we're pulling that down, we're actually pushing the lows up. Gonna throw my heart wide open. Can't look back. There's without it. Running forward. I found my voice. So it adds a nice thickness to the vocal when otherwise it would get tiny. And lastly, up here we are adding some air with a boost, but we're also controlling it dynamically. Gonna throw my heart wide open. If we were just to boost that without compressing it, gonna throw like a standard EQ, it gets too bright and out of control. So we compress it a little bit after we boost it. Gonna throw my heart. And we have that nice smooth air that doesn't hurt your ears. You can listen to it loud. and feels good. So those are just some of the ways that I use multiband compression, and this applies to synth basses, upright bass, and upright bass is a great thing to use multiband compression on because those things are so uneven. Every note on the scales at different volumes, so picking out 3 or 4 bass frequencies to ride with compression can be a great thing. Anytime EQ is, you can't quite find that sweet spot, try dynamic EQ or multiband compression, and might help you out. Thanks, guys.
We had the pleasure during actually the mixing of the Michael Jackson single. We were sitting in the studio late at night with L.A. Reid, somebody I grew up with, and we had a great time. And we met a guy, and he just impressed us right from the top. So we've been hounding him to be on the show so that we could sort of take the cover off major label A&R. So meet the Vice President of Epic A&R, Shalik Berry. Welcome, baby.
What's going on, guys?
Welcome,
How y'all doing?
Welcome.
Oh, you gonna reach over? Oh, man.
Got to.
Cool.
How's it going?
So A&R, in my opinion, tell me if you agree with this, there is a special relationship between artists in the lifeblood of being signed to a label that, in my opinion, starts and almost ends with A&R.
Totally.
You're almost their birth parent. You get them through the stuff.
Totally.
And you're with them during their most creative parts.
Yeah.
They come back. Is that correct?
Very correct. I mean, it's so bad that I get called out for it sometimes, where I get kind of too caught up with the artist. Yeah, because you kind of the liaison for the artist.
Yeah.
You kind of go through the trenches with them.
Yeah.
So
you're like the ambassador through the record company.
You get to know their family. You get to know everybody around them. What makes them tick.
It's really personal.
Yeah, it gets real personal. So then when you go into these cold offices, sometimes it's like they start throwing darts at you because you're not on time, or you're not, things aren't really running the way they wanted to run, but you know the situation with the artist and you got a lot of faith in the situation. So sometimes I kind of lean more towards the artist. And LA gets on me about that.
Does he really? And I think that oftentimes A&R people are put in a position of not only making sure the creative product is up to speed, but you're also problem solvers for other parts of the label, right?
Yeah.
When there's an issue, like, can you talk to the act?
Yeah.
Does that happen?
A lot.
Yeah.
A lot. That's one of the the critical points of the job is kind of like to be able to, nudge the artist when they need to be nudged, because a lot of the people in the office don't really interact with the artist as much as you may think, Usually the A&R and the marketing person are the people that kind of like stay with the artist all the time.
Right.
And they deal with, the heads, when it's time to get, through the gate, you got to go to the heads and get some of the approvals and stuff. But other than that, it's mostly dealing with the A&R and the marketing person.
How do you resolve a conflict between an artist that's very headstrong and wants a certain thing, and now you've got to negotiate that pathway through the label and the brass and your bosses? I bet that's not the most fun part of your job.
It's not fun, but if you establish some type of understanding initially, then they'll always know where you're coming from. You know what I mean? So they always know that you got their best interests at heart, but you're not gonna just tell them anything to, blow smoke up there. Ass, yeah. So I think that's very, very important. Kind of like holding your ground, getting a good understanding, so they know, this guy is for my project, but at the same time he'll tell me I'm bugging the hell out when I'm bugging out. So.
Go ahead.
Do those meetings still exist where you play your artist or you play a new song and everybody else at the table goes, I hate this, and then you got to like kill them? I mean, does that still exist? Or?
Yes, it does. Every 2 weeks.
Woo! And they're nasty too,
brutal.
right?
I don't think I'd be constructed to handle that properly.
Yeah, I'm not either.
So do you get revenge and like X all their stuff when they come in next week?
Nah, you kind of gotta be free with it. And
do you trade one Meghan Trainor for one Michael Jackson?
I wish I could. I wish you could, but like sometimes we have to take a minute and think about the audience rather than how we personally feel in those meetings, because a lot of times you're knocking a record, but it might be a record that actually has a good lifeline out in the to the public. So we kind of gotta be the gatekeepers for the music to the public, but at the same time don't hoarder the music.
Right.
Don't
Right. So that's hard when you spend all that time with somebody and creatively, and you're eating, you spend all that, and then because it becomes part of particularly if they take your opinion and
Yeah.
take your advice, it's personal for you,
Yeah, totally.
right? Right. Yeah.
What's the main pathway that you have learned to expect to get the most productive, the best artists through that path? Does it come from attorneys? Does it come from blind submissions? Does it come from producers you have relationships with? Or does it come from all the above?
It comes from all the above. It's all different types of ways. I mean, I've seen a lot of, like, I've been doing A&R for about 10 years or so.
Mm-hmm.
But prior to that, my brother started a record label when I was young. I was 16, and he started a record label with Jay-Z.
Okay.
So I saw that guy when nobody really,
Wow.
we could walk down the street and go to the store together.
Wow.
And then now it's to the point where he could sell out the Garden 10 times, consecutively. So, I saw that happen, and I know Kanye from when nobody was really that interested in, what he was doing initially, and now he's like selling out everything. So, and both of those weren't really from a particular lawyer, or it was just kind of like guys that were engulfed in, they were in the culture. They were out there. Jay was out there battling guys, and my brother took a liking to him. Dame Dash took a liking to him, and they started a company because no one would sign him. So, it was a cool way to see the business, and not really get jaded by all of the doors that close on you.
So you got all the root stuff first,
Yeah,
the ground level
exactly.
stuff first. That had to have a big,
very, very
influence,
impressionant.
right?
Yeah, totally. It kind of lets you know anything's possible, and you just can't, turn your back on
You
stuff.
can't, right?
Yeah.
And what I was going to ask you is, this sort of scares me, but I understand it. Like, I've been in meetings where the first thing somebody does if an act is sitting there is pull up the internet, see where they are, see what their likes are, see what they're doing with their. And I don't know that every artist is a marketing person and doing their game like that. Is that a go-to spot for you? Is that part of the equation?
Yeah, it is, because it's information that's right there, readily available. I mean, it's how you use it is,
Right.
your final decision is really the key.
Right.
Some people kind of just, the truth is in the internet.
Right.
But it's a lot of stuff that the internet don't tell you.
Okay.
And it takes you to interact with a person and
Right.
understand where they come from, and those
See
types of
live
things.
performance,
Yeah.
like
Exactly.
get the DNA.
Because a lot of
correct.
things in the internet kind of like it's like a pop culture. It gets eaten up by pop culture. Then it shows its head and then it disappears. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? So, with LA, we try to keep our focus on things that have a career.
Oh, good.
Rather than but occasionally you have to
Yeah.
jump in and snatch up something that's kind of like the flavor of the month.
Yeah. I agree. In the beginning, it seemed to me that there was too much reliance on it, but I think people got more sophisticated about it
Yeah.
as we spent time with it, and now knowing LA's background, coming up with him, I know how much star power,
Yeah.
signature, song, the root stuff.
Yeah, it's
count
like a
there.
magical thing
Oh,
that
yeah.
he's into.
Yeah,
But
he's
like,
special at that.
for instance, like Meghan Trainor, she had no views and things of that nature when
Really?
she came in. She came in with a ukulele.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
And
I mean,
that's
I didn't hear the
audition?
record.
Yeah.
LA actually heard the record with one of our A&Rs over there, Paul Pontius. And when I came into the office, LA was like, "Hey, come here, listen to this girl." And she started singing all about the bass on the ukulele. And I
On
was
the
like-
ukulele?
Yeah, and I kind of was confused because I never heard the produced record.
Sure.
So I was
Maybe is that where Jimmy Fallon got the idea to do the version that he did on his show? I think they had a ukulele and a kazoo in that version.
Did they?
I'm not
think
sure.
I'll
You
be
guys
darned.
remember that?
Yeah, she came in on a
We
ukulele.
got to get a new crowd.
She performed the song on the ukulele, and I admit, I said to LA, I said, "Hey, like,
Like, I'm not sure.
what are we gonna do? Like, we can't put it in front of Santa Monica Pier with the ukulele and a tin cup. What's the song?" And he was like, "Yo, watch it." And he pulled me in his office and played the full produced record, and I was like, "Whoa, okay."
Right.
And he said, "This is a big record," but no one knew her. It wasn't like, she was a songwriter. She wrote for like Rascal Flatts,
Okay.
and a couple of Nashville artists, but it wasn't like she had thousands of views.
No joke.
Yeah, he just put the record out.
you go.
He didn't even mix it.
Really?
I think he, he likes to pump it up, put a little sizzle on the top, and send it out.
And then go.
And went.
See, my faith is restored. Right on, LA. That's
Number
where
one.
I'm at. No, big record.
Well, he can't do that. That's a union job.
Well, he can. LA can. LA's a union buster. Give me the structure inside. So, Are you vice president of urban? Is there a team? Do you guys work together? Can you do your individual thing? How does it work inside a major label?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, we all work with A&R. We all A&R pop,
Okay.
hip hop, and R&B.
Okay.
You know, that's pretty much what
Those are the
Epic is.
areas.
Yeah, I mean, then we have another division which is more like pop and rock.
Okay.
Which is like 2 or 3 A&R guys
Okay.
on that side. So we all collectively have our meetings together, and we all listen to each other's records. But everyone has their own sit downs with LA, and you know,
I see.
Yeah,
So
it's-
if you want to sign something in a space that you care
Yeah.
about, if LA agrees and you
It's
guys
good.
agree, you're rolling.
Exactly.
Got it. You don't need a bunch of other
No,
sign-offs.
no.
Got
I mean,
it.
we usually have like a collective meeting, like with Megan. You know, we
Yeah.
all sat down and listened to her, and you know, gave our opinions. But
Right.
you know, mostly it's with LA. LA is the final decision.
How many, roughly, like within a factor of 10, how many acts do you have to sign to get one Megan Trainor? About 30, 20?
You mean as a label or as an individual A&R guy?
I'll take both.
Who knows? I mean, like
It's a lot,
that
isn't
might
it?
have been the first thing that Paul signed when he came in. Was that you know it was just like a meeting. It turned into a signing. You know, it's like, hey, this girl sings great songs. Hey, let's hear what she has. And then it turned into her getting signed and having a #1 record. I mean, literally, she was playing the ukulele, and like maybe a month and a half, I saw her on Good Day America in the hotel. I was like, whoa.
It seems to me like just from an outsider looking in, it seems like there's about 20 records I do for the same label, and only one will be like a big record, you know.
Yeah.
And what does it cost now to get a single out? Like Ron Fair told me about 4 years ago that it was around $2 million now just to get a pop single out to the public.
Yeah, it's definitely in the $1 million range to really go full service with a record and, you know,
So
put
you
the
can't
artist
be
on
wrong
tour.
too many times.
Not at all. I mean, we you know, each genre has, you know, budding artists that come from like the internet or, you know, from a cult fan base that we kind of like go after that we can kind of turn into, you know, major artists. But usually, you know, it varies really, you know, just to say that it varies.
The Epic seems to me that when actually we were mixing the Michael Jackson record, however long ago that was, LA was excited because, and he and I talked about that there was a turnaround happening at Epic,
Yeah.
right? Is that fair
Yeah.
to say? I mean, between Megan and Congo and Bobby Shmurda and all these different
Yeah.
things, you're now hitting your stroke, hitting your groove.
Totally,
Is that
totally.
right?
Yeah.
It takes a while, right?
Yeah, because it's like turning a bus down a alley.
Yeah.
You get jackknifed, you know, every now and then trying to
Right.
go after something.
That's a good way to put it.
We initially, before I got there, I mean, I worked with LA at Def Jam before, so I know how he operates. And he kind of changed his whole MO when he did the X Factor. And he kind of like took on a lot of those artists.
Yeah.
And that's really not his
That's not his thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
He told me
once-
he regretted that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once he kind of like shaved some of that stuff off of the label,
Okay.
you know, because his thing is the bigger picture of the label's perception to the public too.
Right, right.
So he wants to make sure we have a strong roster, clean, you know, cut the fat and things
Yeah.
like that. So once we cleaned those artists up and, you know, we took on more artists that we kind of love and feel, you know, have a heart for.
Back to your DNA.
Yeah, back
instead
to
of-
the DNA,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
I mean, we got the Congos and then, you know,
I love that.
Megan. And,
Yeah.
Yeah, so it just started flowing after that.
Yeah, the heat is back.
Yeah,
It's good
yeah.
to say. So here's a question. Our audience are full of engineers and producers and songwriters and stuff. Most of them feel like they don't have a shot, or they feel like they don't know the key to getting to a point where they could get on your radar. How does that work? Is it referrals? Is it
For engineers?
for an engineer, for a producer to submit something, songwriter to submit something? How does the process work? Start with engineers first.
Well, I kind of got a different kind of love for engineers because I probably run a studio also
Yeah.
in Santa Monica. So
Yeah.
I'm
But
always,
we're special.
yeah, I'm always looking for great engineers.
Is that
you
right?
know? Yeah, definitely. And we do have a lot of guys come in and we try them out. You know, have them record a session, compare them. So I mean, I'm really into that. As far as mixing engineers kind of go with the guys that
are working.
Yeah, that are working.
It's
tough to kind of.
Yeah.
To me, I mean, Dave would probably have a better answer on that, but I'm not quite sure how you kind of crack that. I guess maybe Cole will be the next. Pensado is
Yeah, I always tell people that the best way to get on a A&R person's radar is to provide a service that he needs. So, like some A&R people don't like sequencing records, so you give me one song to mix and I'll sequence the whole record for you. Now the next record comes along, I've got a head start. Or we're engineers, we're a service industry, so the more service we can provide you that takes things off your shoulders.
Yeah.
Like the Michael Jackson record we were doing, I was chasing down parts, I was doing all this other kind of stuff because you guys don't have enough time to do everything, and A&R is like what 5 or 6 different jobs in one.
Yeah.
So when I first moved to LA, I made it known that I could fix anything. So there's a lot of stuff that needs fixing, and that's how I got it.
Well,
Go ahead, Herm.
No, I was going to say what's encouraging though is that from tracking or guys who are doing that kind of stuff, you try out different ones once they get on your radar and see how they do. So that's one path. I think the path for mix engineers, particularly with the weight of the records and the responsibilities, you can't play with that so much. So that's at some point in time a referral, or Dave would say, you should try this cat on this or something like that. And that's one path.
Just interrupt you. A lot of times, a demo will come across Shalik's desk, and that demo sounded really good, and then it'll be handed off to another mixer, but Shalik might like the original demo. So don't ever treat a demo like a demo. Always treat your demos like the final record.
Good point.
Because you never know when that's going to be the record.
Yeah,
and so you get that's the best way to get on his radar.
Kind of like the Megan Trainor.
Only have one way of working, and that's flat out perfect. Whether you sit down doing a demo on your sister, your grandmother, or an artist, and that's the best way.
Yeah, I mean, there's also like a lot of guys that call up and they ask to mix something, but then there's like a bit of a trust type of issue there, sending somebody Pro Tools files and things of that nature.
Right.
Some guys, sometimes we'll cut a lot of records at the studio, so I have a lot of Pro Tools files that I can get a guy to mix, and just to hear how he works it.
Right.
So,
Was your because in the early days of your career, publishing was part of what you worked. You worked in a publishing company with LA?
Well, I started out at Rockefeller Records.
Okay.
Then
your brother's thing.
Yeah. And then when Jay-Z got the job at Def Jam, he brought me over with him to Def Jam. That's how I met LA. So when I met LA, I was at Def Jam for a while and kind of didn't like how things were going.
Right.
And he said he was starting a publishing company. He asked me to run the publishing company with him. So now I started doing publishing. So it was after my second A&R job, I got a publishing job.
So that immersion into songs and songwriters and finding it and so on and so forth, that has to help your A&R chops.
Yeah, totally, but it's totally two different jobs.
Two complete different worlds.
Completely
People don't
different.
understand that.
The mentality of a record A&R and a publisher A&R is totally different.
Totally different.
Yeah, publisher A&Rs have to have a lot of patience.
Record A&Rs are predators.
Yeah, the predators because you got somebody on your back being a predator. So
You got
deadlines.
the big predator.
Yeah, but publishing A&Rs, it's like a hurry up and wait game. Like, you rush. You got to know the guys. So because a guy gets a hit and you just come out of nowhere, it's kind of funny. So you kind of got to know everybody and then kind of keep the radar of everybody and step in when it's time to step in because you really want to. I mean, in certain levels of A&R, I hate talking so major label type, but that's what I've done. But I like how a lot of the independent A&R companies work, where they groom guys and they're not just out there fishing. A lot of major publishing companies just sit there like this,
real stuff,
and you wait for something to bite, then you pull it in, spend as much money. It's not as fun because they're playing with market share.
Yeah, right.
So it's a different kind of game where like even independent record labels are different. Like when we was at Rockefeller, it was like this had to sell in order to get to the next one. So that mentality kept everybody on their toes. Yeah. So that's why Jay-Z kept coming out, because we needed some money to even give a shot to somebody else.
Fourth quarter, Jay-Z did another record.
Yeah. So it was cool to see it like that, but to be in it now where you can kind of, like you said, it cost $2 million to go with one record, then 3 months later you kind of throwing the record out of your head. It's like LA has a convenient amnesia. Like he'll just, that'll be gone in a minute, you know, because it's just how it's his philosophy and how he works, you know.
But you have to sometimes just recharge that edge. Don't you have to get back to the street and sort of try to bring that back, and so you don't get complacent in the job?
Totally. I mean, I have another brother that I kind of work with a lot, blood brother. His name is Hip Hop. He actually found Kanye West, and I admire him because he's like he's more of a fan than a 12-year-old kid of things, and I'll never understand how he maintains that. I'm like, yo, dude, like he knows about everything that's coming out, and he's excited and running to the store, and he's worked on so many projects, and I'm like, damn, that's great. So that kind of rejuvenates me sometimes, just hanging out with him, and we talk about new records and landscapes and things of that nature. So.
What do you think, sir? Should we throw in some batter's box questions?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
We got. You're gonna help me. We're gonna double up on them, right?
We're gonna do a double up batter's box. So, I hear the crowd screaming. Are you going first? Remember, any answer. Go ahead. Any answer works.
Still gotta be a quick answer.
Yep. Do your thing.
I've got some Baumgartner or whatever that guy's name was. What was his name?
I'm not sure.
The pitcher that won the last World Series game.
Mason. Some Baumgartner,
something like that.
Ridiculous.
Will Thompson's probably turning over in his
know,
little
he's going to
giant's
slap us when he
grave.
sees it.
Streaming.
Love it.
Ooh. Oh, this is going to be hard, Herb.
Next musical trend.
Next musical trend. What genre? Just any.
Any genre. Urban.
Say drill.
Oh, okay. Ooh, I gotta go back to that in a second.
Focus groups.
Not so focused. Not so much focus.
Good answer. Good answer. Voice versus live performance.
Voice.
Ooh. Interesting.
Terrestrial radio.
Very important. Extremely important, unfortunately.
Song versus production.
Song.
Yeah. That's it.
Well, we all know it's the mix.
For sure. The importance of engineers.
I mean, they're like, you can't have a record without an engineer.
Yeah. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. You
That's
got
about
that?
right. If your office caught fire, what would you rescue first?
Sylvia in L.A.
What would I rescue first
If they're
my
not in your
office caught on fire? Whatever album I'm working on at the moment, the files.
Oh, that's cool. If you worked with a competent engineer, you wouldn't have to worry about that because we always keep those for you,
Pro Tools or Logic?
Pro Tools.
Okay. All right. DP, you got another one?
I'm getting bored with this.
Because he keeps winning?
Yeah.
You got one more.
I got a million more.
All right.
iTunes.
Cold warehouse.
Interesting. Interesting. No curation, no personalization. Got it. Label chief someday for you?
Nah.
Okay.
It's getting too funny.
Yeah, got
Kind
it.
of gotta stay loose.
Okay. Last one. Go the last one.
Oh, that was a question?
Yeah.
You mean major label chief?
Whatever, major or indie chief.
Oh, indie definitely.
Okay.
Not major.
Okay, last one. Album.
Album.
Are they still important?
Oh yeah. That's a tough one, man. Because it's like I want to say something, but I mean, I want to say they becoming extinct, man.
That's what I was gonna say.
But it's
Change
like
of the guard.
you can't get a full expression from a person if they don't have an album. To me, I don't really like this EP stuff. It's like
Too short.
it's too short.
You can't get the whole DNA.
Yeah, because I'm like a fan of B-sides, so it's
okay.
like I
Okay.
like because that's where you get the real story at, who you're listening to. And if you only got 5 songs, of course you're gonna try to put your 5. You know, you really can't
Right.
you can't sew some, you can't make a fabric without.
Yeah, if you don't have all the stuff. Yeah.
Exactly, skits and all
Right.
that stuff.
Right, interludes, the whole thing.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, and I actually have one more question. So the last question for the Batter's Box is biggest executive influence on you, biggest artist that's influenced you personally.
Biggest executive influence. I'm gonna say Ahmet Erdogan,
Wow, nice call.
Jerry Wexler, John Hammond.
You're that old?
Where'd you get all that history
Yeah.
from? My man. Okay.
And biggest artist influence, I'm gonna say Jay-Z, it's because of a personal thing, and probably musically, I'm gonna say David Bowie and Miles Davis.
Woo, our kind of guy. Didn't know he had all that depth, right?
I didn't know he hung out with John Hammond.
Serious stuff. Chongor Gaunt, you over there? Yep. Chongor is our hip-hop Hungarian.
I don't even know anymore.
That's exactly right. Hit our friend Shalik with a couple questions over there.
Let's get started. This first one's from Justin Andrews. In your opinion, what are the do's and don'ts of an email demo submission?
I would say just keep that EP size, 5 songs.
It's good advice.
And you said do's and don'ts?
Yes.
I don't think you have to send a bio or anything like that. I think just, say how passionate you are and what you're trying to accomplish and ask them to listen to the music. I mean, I've signed an artist I signed Chris Michelle off a demo that was on my desk. Nobody pushed it and I called it back.
Yeah.
And, he said he just mixed the album the other day, so it's,
Get the music right.
yeah.
Get the music right. Give us another one, Chongor.
This one's from Tony Ramos. What was the most unique way you found and later signed an artist to Epic?
What was the
Most unique way that you found an artist and then maybe signed them afterwards.
most unique ways? We pretty cut and dry, man. It's like you got to go to the gatekeeper with your idea and and you got to get it through. It's like he's the Goldie. I look at LA as like the Goldie,
A
man.
lot of people don't realize that there's people in the world that just randomly send songs to everybody, hoping that something similar to that'll come out, and then they'll sue you.
Oh,
And so you can't just accept stuff off the streets because your company will have an endless series of lawsuits.
What were you going to say?
it was one of the question before. I said the do's and don'ts.
Yeah.
I don't think you should submit your music to a specific A&R and CC every other A&R that's in the business. You see a long.
That doesn't work.
I mean, maybe I don't like
No,
that. It's just like,
that
it's just like you
doesn't
just said it like, hey,
You got to
anybody-
try to set a relationship
Yeah,
with
it's just-
somebody. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Have you ever found an act or a song or something in just unusual circumstances? You at the store, heard something in the car, or something like that? Does any of that happen, or is it mostly it's just a submission comes to your desk? And you figure it out?
Submission, some friends.
Yeah.
People that I trust. Like sometimes it's a demo.
Right.
Sometimes it's like a collective thing. We do like a lot of collective. Like if I like something, I'll bring it to the table. We'll all judge it and give our input and opinion, and then we'll all team A&R it too. Just try to everybody just put a
Does
chip in.
does a submission that's accompanied with a video of the song, does that give you an advantage or no?
Yeah, because it gives you advantage. It's not the end all be all, of course, because it's just you doing it on your own. But it gives you advantage because you get to see the artists in motion, how they interact. That's real important because like I've had artists come, perform for me, and they might be off from theater or something. You can tell.
Right.
It's like they're just stiff and they like
Right.
projecting at you, and it's not like
not natural,
it's like
it's
not
not-
them
yeah.
walking and getting in your face and things like that. So you could tell, the training from different people, but. I prefer to see a video or something, some type of motion, some type of.
And it doesn't have to be over the top. It just has to get the essence of who you are
Exactly.
across. Got it. John, go one more, sir.
This last one's from Damon Martin. Over the course of the last 10 years, what have been some of the most significant changes you've witnessed in the A&R field?
Oh,
Wow, that's a good one.
Ukuleles.
Last 10 years?
right.
So what's 10 years? 2005?
2004. Yeah.
The most important. What was the question? Sorry.
Just what kind of changes in the last
Changes.
decade have you seen? Like, to me, the rise, the independent influence on what's happening musically. I think some of the musical hybrids, like a Gaudier
Yeah.
10 years ago wouldn't have happened, or a Lord.
Yeah,
or
yeah. No, definitely.
EDM.
Yeah. I mean, but that stuff always kind of happened prior.
That's
just
true.
not as often. But like something to come across the pop scope and kind of take over for a while and then pass over. I'm thinking more so in office stuff.
Okay.
And a lot of the creativity is kind of taken out of the A&R's hands based on analytics, more so, and which is good because it's a immediate indicator, but sometimes that just falls flat after a while.
I agree.
And it's really a choice of how your philosophy is as an A&R and how you approach, what you sign. So
And sometimes it gives excuses.
Yeah, it
Sometimes
does.
people go, oh, these kind of views are like, whatever it is a reason not to do something, as
Exactly.
opposed to, I'm inspired and here's a reason to do something.
yeah, and even a lot of times people do songs with other artists and they get a lot of views because of the other artists, but when you take that artist away from them, it's really not, so I'm more like an old school kind of thought
I can
process.
tell by those influences and stuff,
Yeah,
man. You tried out Ahmed Ertegun, that's real stuff there.
Yeah, man.
So you just watched those guys as you were coming up and saw how they did what they did?
Yeah, just how they work in different genres and, like Ahmed was on point with whatever was current.
Everything. Yeah.
Jazz, British invasion.
Absolutely.
Whether it's,
So much stuff.
anything
From
he was on
Aretha,
it.
Ray Charles.
Yeah,
to,
Ray Charles.
Yeah,
It's just ridiculous, man.
Amazing.
And John Hammond with Bruce Springsteen, Aretha Franklin. It's just to be able to
Amazing.
notice talent in those two different artists is amazing to me. So.
One of the reasons we wanted you on is because you have, as a guy who's being very current, the kind of depth to, and the reason we knew that is you wouldn't be in the studio with LA with Michael Jackson. If you didn't.
2 in the morning, 3 in the morning.
Right.
What
We
time
had
did we get out of there? Like 4 in the morning?
Yeah, probably.
Something, yeah.
I mean, that song that you makes was just like that was like the longest journey of.
I know.
It's like I had to chase
was
Justin
fun.
Timberlake down, and
It was fun.
it was great. You
the
really put
harder
it
they
together,
are,
man. Like if it wasn't for Dave, man,
Oh, thanks, man.
that song would be all over the place.
And I can't take all the credit. McLean and Nettlesby did a
Yeah,
great job.
yeah,
too.
yeah, definitely.
And you, and
Production,
And of
totally.
course, L.A. didn't do anything, really, did he? I
Just
don't- I
came
don't
at the
remember.
end, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
With
he
his
didn't.
sweater and his scarf.
Sorry, L.A., you did something.
You made it through. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, man.
You had a good time?
Appreciate it. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah,
It's awesome.
Good. We got more in store for you, too.
Okay, great.
LA. Oh, thank you, man. You were
I did
just
good.
wonderful.
I did good, too,
Beautiful.
man.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dave. Take us home, sir.
Phew, man. We on my side of the business, on this side of the world, it's fun to bash the record company executives, and I was doing that pretty thoroughly, and I might admit, inventively earlier today. And then you run into Shalik again. You just remember when that there really truly are guys that care in this business, and guys that are out there trying to find great talent and make great records. And you got insight into one today. So whenever you talk about the record industry as having a bunch of jerks, I always put a little footnote in. This guy here ain't one of them, all right? See you next week.